Hello, ladies and germs. And today I'm gonna take a look at what Valaverse was talking about with mechs, specifically the potential to release a mech. If you missed it on Valaverse's YouTube channel, he was opening up some old school mechs, opened up an old school alien mech, and had a couple others, one from Avatar, I do believe, and was just showing different types of mechs and what the ideas were. So, and he was talking about potentially doing a mech for Action Force, which I can see being a good idea. Um, Now the question becomes, would you buy a mech from Action Force? And I had to start thinking about this. I have a lot of thoughts, a good lot of thoughts. Thought I'd like to share them with you because, I tried to write a response and it was like, hello, I wrote a book. So let me get down to it. To begin with, obviously this is going to cost. That's going to be the big one. Because this isn't going to be, depending on the scale of the mech, it's not going to be an easy one. Easily that will be larger than the Vanguard, most likely. And it's going to have tougher engineering. And Bobby said it's going to be premium. So, especially since it's going to be 1/12 scale, not 1/18. I got a few mechs in 1/18. I mean, you can do it pretty effectively for the most part. Some do better than others, and it's okay. Start getting into 1/12 scale. Chatmate did a mech a while back that is now hard to find because Wilhelm Toy and Hobby showed us that mech, and then Articulated Ninjas showed us how you can change it up for 1/12 scale, and then it just disappeared off the face of the plane. So that's I make that joke about the ninja effect all the time. But that's another route that you could make something similar to that. And Chat Maze was pretty inexpensive. I believe it was $20. So, but it had no articulation or anything. I mean, I think it had 5 POA, and that's it. So you have to take that into account as well. And of course, Bobby himself said very clearly, if he does a mech, it's going to have articulation, which means more engineering, which means more cost. So for me, that's going to be the big one. What's the cost? And then the secondary one's going to be, what's the atmosphere like at the time in the toy space? Because look around. I mean, there's a lot happening. There's the rumor that, Hasbro's going to lose Disney life. I think that's a pretty strong rumor that is gaining traction. And that probably means Star Wars is not going to be around the way we think about it. And that probably means that Marvel Legends isn't going to be around the way we think about it. So that's going to take two big names off the table. Now, hypothetically, and I was looking into this, and I believe Marvel owns the actual Marvel Legends idea. They might be able to sell that whole idea to another company. I could see Mattel picking it up and just going further with it and just acting like, the Hasbro stuff didn't happen. I mean, it would be comparable to their WWE line. And that could be a thing. There's also a rumor that since McFarlane doesn't want to do 1/12 figures, Hasbro's asking for the 1/12 DC license. Again, that's a rumor, but if they acquire that, that's going to be a whole new line to collect. And I would really love to see a DC 6-inch line. So that's another side. What could be happening with Joe at that point? I know I made the prediction that Classified's going to die within about a year and a half, but what if I'm wrong? I mean, what if it's still going and it's going stronger than ever? What do you do then? And you never know. Hasbro might try to beat Bobby to the punch and make a mech for 1/12 scale figures. I don't think they will. But they might try. So all in all, that whole... I mean, right now, it looks like the whole toy landscape is about to change. Plus, just face it, COVID collectors are slowly bowing out. And, you know, I can tell you, I see it on my channel with, you know, Marvel Legends doesn't get as many views as it used to. It's just a simple fact. It doesn't. I do a Marvel Legends video, and, ooh, those views are not what I like. But at the same time, I still do them just because I want to. But even I admit, I'm slowly getting out of Marvel Legends. So there's that. I mean, I've just about got everything I want. So it is entirely possible. I'm not going to say it's set in stone, but entirely possible that we're not even going to be looking at Marvel when this happens. I mean, we might not. It does kind of look bleak if you really think about it, because who's going to pick up Star Wars and what are they going to do with it? I mean, that would be interesting, to say the least. I mean, Jazzwares will probably keep going with their Mission Fleet series. Is that what it's called? Man, I can't remember. I only got one. It's okay. I mean, I don't hate it. But you never know. I mean, there could be a whole lot goes south with that. I mean, it is entirely conceivable that somebody like Jazzwares gets a hold of the Star Wars license and they make a bunch of 5-inch figures that go with the Simpsons line. I mean, it can happen. Or is it Jackson does the Simpsons? I keep forgetting. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Or it's entirely possible that nobody's going to buy the Star Wars license. Maybe it's just become too tainted. Kids don't want the toys anymore, and the adults who grew up with the toys are like, nah, not for me, man. That is a possibility. It might be that Star Wars is just a bit too tainted for most people to grab, which means Super 7 will try. And let's face it, Super 7's gonna fall over if they get the Star Wars license, because nobody's gonna put up with that shit. So, with all these rumors floating around and all these possibilities floating around, it's hard to really predict what the focus is going to be. Let's conservatively say this will take 2 years to develop. You know, get it from design stage to 3D render, possible prototype. Will take a year, then another year to final production. Okay, and it seems to fit. 2 years. That seems to fit. So it does beg the question, you know, what is things going to look like in 2 years? Because I got a feeling we've got a major shakeup coming to the toy collecting space. And part of that's going to be the Disney deal. Part of that's going to be probably, I think Mattel has some tricks up their sleeves too that they're not really showing us yet, that might shake things up as well. Now, again, that's just going off a feeling and going off a thought. Because Mattel, while they are also losing money, they are in a position that they can take some risks. And sometimes they seem willing to take risks, if you notice. I mean, they don't take major risks. It's minor risks. But minor risks seem to pay off. So, who knows what could happen. And some people argued on the DC rumor that McFarlane won't give it up. It's not really McFarlane's choice. It is Warner Brothers' choice when it comes right down to it. Now, right now, the other side is McFarlane has a buddy in DC. That's how he's got that contract. But Spin Master has the 1/18 scale. McFarlane is not doing 1/12 scale. He's doing 1/10 scale. That changes up every bit of the dynamic of a 1/12 scale line. Technically speaking, you could argue he's not got a contract for the 1/12 scale since he's not doing it. And then Hasbro gets it. That would be really interesting to see McFarlane and Hasbro go head to head. That would be weird. And the thing is, I think Hasbro would win because, I mean, let's face it, they'd be more in scale with Marvel Legends. And, you know, I mean, they can churn out stuff just as quick as McFarlane. I think the people who get mad are the McFarlane diehards. But they could conceivably do both lines because they are two different scales. It gets wild when you start thinking about it, doesn't it? And I know some people are going to go, actually, no. Yeah, technically speaking, that could be a possibility. I mean, it might not be, too. Oh, and I know, McFarlane does occasionally do 1/12 scale stuff. Well, the Batman 66 stuff is even shorter than 1/12 scale, so I wouldn't even call that 1/12 scale. Let's call that 1/14. And then there's the DC Direct stuff that he has a hand in, but not really yet. So with that in mind, this gets all very confusing. But end of the day, the people who make the decisions are Warner Brothers on the DC licenses. So that's where that one's going to fall. But still, creates questions about what the atmosphere is going to be. For me, getting back to the subject at hand on the mech, I'm good with mechs, but I don't know if I want one for Action Force. I'm back and forth on it, to be perfectly honest. And to me, honestly, those two factors are going to be the hugest factors in making a decision on if I buy one. It was the same way with the Vanguard. How was the toy space at that time? Well, I was freed up enough that I could buy a Vanguard, and I'm glad I did. I love the Vanguard. I think it's an awesome vehicle, and I'm very happy I bought it. Some people, I mean, they're going to say no matter what Valaverse does, he's going to close the door tomorrow. And they can say that because they're stupid. Some people are going to say this is too big of a gamble. I don't know if I agree with that. I see the demand. I see that it's there. I would worry about, are people going to follow through? But that's a risk with anything. The Vanguard was a risk in that regard. But I will at least keep the possibility open. I won't say no, but I won't say absolute. So there we are. Does it sound like I'm sitting on the fence? Probably. Again, don't know what it's going to look like when we get there. We'll find out. And when we do, I'll let you know. All right. Thanks for listening to me ramble on about toys and stuff. You guys have a good day and do some of that YouTube stuff that we always tell you to do. Kind of makes us feel better about everything. All right. Thanks. Have a good one.